This is my favorite lower third that I've ever made. The USF broadcaster with the best number, the one and only Jim Lighthall. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, Jay, good to see you again.
Yes, man. And I was telling somebody this the other day. I've worked with a lot of people over the last decade plus, and there are a few people that I've had more fun with than you and our guy Derek Sharp. And it's listen, it's been some rough games, man. We've painted our fair share of pigs with lipstick on them, but it's nice to be able to go into a season where there is some optimism. This team is on back-to-back, winning bowls, which is a great thing. How optimistic are you heading into the 2025 season?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I echo those thoughts about you and working with Derek, and we have had to, sell the sizzle at times and carried each other out of the building sometimes after some long nights, but a lot of fun working with you and with Derek through the years. I'm super optimistic, obviously, for the season. I don't know if I'm to the level of some of the Willie Taggart teams when they were, uber talented, and I knew that the Bulls were going to score 45 on any given day and they could score on any play every night. I don't know if I'm to that stature yet for this team, but I'm extremely optimistic that this team can make some noise in the American, and we haven't said that in a long, long time. I think this is the deepest roster they've had in quite some time. I don't think the league is any kind of a world beater, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Anything less than a conference championship game, not title, but a conference championship game, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if they can't get that far.
How important are these first three games then? Because I feel like there's just a wide gamut of discussion of there's people out there that think they can win two, right? There's people that there think they can win one. I think there's expectations of like, hey, these may not mean all that much because if you lose these first three, but then, kind of roll the rest of the way, then that's all that really counts. Get to an American championship game, as you alluded to. So I guess what would you deem a successful 3-game stint here against Boise, Florida, and Miami?
I think if they get one win, Jay, this is going to be a success. I know a lot of people inside the Selman Center think they can win 3, including the head coach and including about 100 kids that put uniforms on. They think they can win all 3. Whether or not that's realistic, I don't know. I don't think they have the talent quite yet to win those games, all 3 of them. I certainly think they can beat Boise. I think they could go to Miami and win. Heck, they should have won in Gainesville a few years ago, too. So it's not out of the realm of possibility there. Now, in the grand scheme of things, if you're talking about college football playoff, which I can't believe that those words are even coming out of my mouth associated with this program, considering the last 5 years. But if you're talking about that, then yeah, it's very important. I think they have to win one of those games if they're going to be considered for a playoff. They could beat Boise, lose to Florida and Miami, run the table in the American, and I don't see how you put Boise in ahead of them if both teams are a conference champion. Now, if Boise loses to Notre Dame, then I would think USF has the edge over them. Listen, I'm way down the line here. But if Boise beats Notre Dame, then they've got that trump card on South Florida. Yeah. So in the scheme of things here locally, I don't think these 3 games matter all that much, except for this point, Jay. When you're 0-3 or if you're 0-3, that is tough to go back into your locker room and tell those kids, hey, we played well. We did things that we wanted to do. We executed the way we felt we should be executing against top 25 opponents. But if you don't have anything to show for it, again, that's a tough sell. So to me, the coaching job by Alex Golesh, if they open 0-3, might be the toughest thing he's faced. And let's be real. He walked into an absolute disaster in this program and had to sell a lot of different things, and that worked in recruiting and that worked in bringing players in. But if he's 0-3 and you're still thinking about we can win a conference championship, you're going to have to make sure that those kids are still with you and still bought in order to reel off 9 games in a row. Or even 10 if you get to a conference championship game.
What is your impression of Alex Golesh? Now we're going into year 3. He's getting a fully healthy Byron Brown back, so he's got his – and we'll talk more about him in a second. But just your thoughts on Alex Golesh and how he's approached this season and how he's going to – because I've asked him the question before. He looks at me and goes, Jay, there are no silver linings. There are no moral victories. Yeah. Well, you're kind of set up for you may have to deal with that because you're so front loaded with non-conference opponents that are all top 25 teams. he's gonna have to pivot a little bit. Like that's, I think, gonna be the secret in the sauce there, right? For Alex Golesh, he may have to do his best coaching job this year in what may be his most talented team.
Yeah, and really, when you think about it, let me throw this number at you. I know there's some people going 7-6 is not acceptable for this year, and maybe it's not. I mean, even if you start 0-3, that means you lose 3 games in the league, which I don't think they should be losing 3 games in the league the way it's set up here in 2025 because of the talent pool there. But if he goes 7-6, some people are saying he should be here. Listen, Alex Golesh has 2 great seasons under his belt, considering what he walked into. He's got more wins than Charlie Strong does. Charlie Strong had 17 wins after 2 years. Alex Golesh has 14. Charlie Strong inherited an 11-win team.
Right.
And Alex Golesh inherited a complete dumpster fire. So that tells me that Alex Golesh can coach. That tells me we have to be patient. I know the third year is always a key year. You have to start showing some proof of purchase here. You have to win some games. But Jay, I say this to people, again, with this non-conference schedule is so incredibly difficult. You always lay a dud at some point during the season. So hopefully that doesn't happen in the conference play. So if they can get to 8-4, if they could somehow go 9-3 and rip off 9 straight after a potential 0-3 start, to me, the guy solidifies his stature here. He is the guy. And so I'm extremely happy with where the program is right now. I'm extremely happy with the talent pool he's brought in, what he's done in the transfer portal. And now he's got Byron Brown back. And I say all that to say this, Jay. I tell people, hey, if they're 0-3, I get it. You're upset, but look at the schedule. And if he can get to 8-4 this year, just wait till next year. And I hate saying that before we ever play a game in 2025. But you know what? They play at Alabama next year. The rest of the non-conference is very winnable. They don't play anybody tough. And then you're back in this league again in the American that isn't full of a bunch of world beaters. If you can get to 8 wins this year, continue to build momentum, continue to get some national recognition, some support, watch out for this team next year. If they go 5-7 this year, throw everything I just said out.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Byron Brown. And again, I've said this the last couple of shows of, 2 years ago, the only guy that had numbers comparable to him was the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels. Right. Last year, even before he was banged up, he still, he missed some passes at Tuscaloosa. He didn't look, the Byron Brown that we saw the year before. Accuracy is a big thing that we know he's going to be able to run the football. He's bigger. He's probably stronger than he was a couple of years ago, but you got to be accurate throwing the football. What are you anticipating from him now that, first off, were you surprised that he came back? Because I a little bit. I mean, obviously he's getting taken care of the NIL, but I mean, with what happened last year, I wouldn't have been surprised if he left. Are you surprised that he came back? And what do you expect from him in this third year under Alex Golesh?
I would love to take a peek behind the curtain and see exactly what kind of offers he was getting. Right. Because when you get hurt in the 4th game of the season and your numbers weren't outstanding to begin with all of the hype coming into the year, I would have thought those offers would have been hot and cold. There's a lot of potential there based on that first season, but then he gets hurt. He wasn't all that great. His completion percentage was 59%. He wasn't really lighting it up. So I'm sure a lot of the big programs started to cool on him. I'm not surprised he came back. I think he's the kind of kid that has a lot to prove. I mean, when he came to South Florida, he wasn't very high in the depth chart. He had to prove himself, and he absolutely did that. So he's faster. He's stronger. He's wiser. He's more comfortable with the system. I think all of that parlays into more wins for this program. 59% completion percentage, not going to cut it. But then the guy who came in after him, Bryce Archie, also threw for 59% completion percentage. I think he's going to have to be 63, 64, 65, or even better than that for them to get to those 8 or 9 wins.
Does he have to cut down on his running?
I don't think so. From my understanding, the coaching staff was adamant about him not running as much last year, which once that's in your head, hey, I know if I run, I might get chewed a little bit over on the sidelines. Now that affects all of your decision making. Right. And that was a guy that was quick to tuck the ball down and take off. I mean, he had 800 yards rushing that season. So if you're all of a sudden thinking about that while you're in the pocket, then you're not concentrating as much about what's going on out on the field. So I think he's going to tuck the ball and go when he has to. I don't know how many design runs are going to have for him. Here's the good news. I mean, you have Gaston Moore, who's played football for many years at Tennessee and UCF. I'm hearing raves about him and how quickly he's picked everything up there. So you have a comfortable backup. No knock on Bryce Archie. He just hadn't played a lot of football going into last season. So I think if Byron Brown goes down, and again, he's about 235 pounds now. He's put on a lot of weight. If he, for some reason, goes down, I think they're very comfortable with their backup situation.
What are you thinking as far as the safety net? Because like we've seen Sean Atkins the last couple of years, and he's going to go. It's probably one of the great stories in the history of USF Athletics, what he was able to do. Is there any concern that he doesn't have that, obviously new stable of running backs? You don't have your most reliable receiver. Is that any area for concern when you look at what wasn't there last year or isn't there this year compared to last year?
Yes, I think it's a huge concern. What Sean Atkins did in his career is remarkable. Especially being a former high school quarterback, to come in and do what he did. He was the safety net. He was the glue. He was the guy that you went to when everything was burning down around you. I don't know who that guy is for Byron Brown this year. A lot of times in this situation, Jay, you say, all right, let's find a tight end that's my guy. Let's find the guy that I could throw a 7-yard pass to, whether that's a little button hook or a little out, something to get me rolling. The tight end room is fairly new. You got a transfer from FAU. You have Jonathan Eccles, who was this gigantic prospect, and right now he's not even listed on the depth chart. Right. So I don't know where he's going to factor in. That guy's a crazy good athlete. They've got a lot of receivers. They had to rebuild that wide receiver room, and as you mentioned, they had to rebuild the running back room. But Byron Brown is going to be good if the running back room is good.
Right.
If Alvon Isaac ends up being the kid that they think he's going to be, if the kid from Oklahoma, Franklin, is as dynamic as he was 2 years ago at the FCS level, if Norton did what he did at Iowa State and then a little bit at Charlotte, then that makes Byron Brown look a lot better because that offense is so much more diverse and people don't just pin their ears back and come after Byron Brown, which is what they were doing against the offensive line. The Bulls were behind practically every game last year. And all of a sudden, quarterbacks are sitting ducks back there. And I think that's why the sacks started to pile up.
Yeah, and I think one of the things when you look at the last 10, 15 years of Bulls football, I mean, there's been such a heavy burden laid on the offense. And we got to get to a point where that the defense in some of these games is carrying the water. I mean, we've seen some just putrid numbers. As bad as some of the offenses have been, I mean, when you look at some of the defenses, you're looking at in the hundreds of how poor they've been. Now, is there anything that we can look at and say, hey, I mean, the defense is going to give us some optimism going forward? Because, as we fell into the trap here, when we talk about optimism, we originally go to the offensive side of the ball. But some of the guys on the defense have to step up in a big way too, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. And this team doesn't win shootouts very often, which is a concern when your defense isn't very good. You start pinning all the hopes on the offense and you say, oh, we'll just win a game 41-39 this week. Well, I mean, they did that in the Hawaii Bowl. They've done that here and there. But how about this? Alex Golesh has never won a game when his team gives up 31 or more points. I mean, that's just the way it is, which means your defense better perform and your offense has to do enough. So when I look at the defensive side of the ball this year, I'm very concerned with the defensive line. They brought in a ton of new bodies, a ton of new names, and some size. Todd Orlando was concerned, especially in the middle on the defensive line. He's got guys that are 290 pounds now, whereas before he was playing with guys that were 278, 282, 284. Now he's got bigger and older guys that have been through those wars before. And I think that's going to make your back half better. I mean, we've talked about that. I mean, how many times did we do that in a pregame show? Hey, if they can get some pressure on the quarterback, it makes your secondary better. And they're deep in the secondary. They're experienced back there. And if some of these guys can get some push, if they can get some stuff on the edge, and let's face it, if you can get some pressure with 4, that means you don't have to bring linebackers. You don't have to gamble as much, which is what they were doing last year. And that left those defensive backs on an island. I still think the defense is going to be a challenge this year. I think they're going to be incrementally better, though, than they were last year.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are hoping to see. And, hey, look at the special teams. I think there's something we don't have to worry about, right?
Hey, as long as there's a Grammatica back there, I'm fine. And they're coming. You got Nico here, and then you got his younger brother after that. So we're good. Yeah. And
so
an Australian punter. You have to have one of those.
that's going to be the recipe for like the whole tenure. Give me an Australian punter, check. Give me a Grammatica, check, and then we'll go from there.
Why didn't I buy stock in Australian punters like 10 years ago? I'd be a billionaire right now.
Unbelievable how many guys, and there's a good chance he might be older than you and me. We don't know. I mean, he might be a grandfather. Who knows?
Yeah, they come in as a 27-year-old freshman. It's great.
It's crazy. These guys walk around. They just walk differently. You're like, yeah, you're 28 years old. Oh, these kids are 18 and 19. They're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You got some 28-year-old named Gunner or something like that from Adelaide, and they're just over here booting the ball.
They've been putting money in their 401ks for like 8 years.
Yeah, they half of these guys are going to have to miss a game for their 10-year high school reunion. Those sons of bitches. Before I let you go, I want to talk some basketball with you.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of optimism. We talk about optimism. Coach Brian Hodgson, and looking at some of the guys, I just saw him out yesterday. We have so much respect for what Ben Fletcher did last year, right?
No doubt.
Coming in and kind of holding down the fort after we unexpectedly lost the late great Amir Abdur-Rahim. But I don't know, man. We haven't seen him play a game under Coach Hodgson yet, but I find it hard to believe that the early returns could be any better. I just feel like he is the right – forget about the right basketball coach, Jim. Mm-hmm. He just seems like the right man that Michael Kelly and the group settled on before MK left for Navy. I'd be very surprised if they weren't contending for a conference championship this year.
I'm with you 100%. And unfortunately, I'm going to repeat myself here, but the basketball league is not full of a bunch of world beaters. Mm-hmm. I think for sure they're going to be in the top 5 in the league by the time it's all said and done. I think they're probably going to be in the top 2 by the time it's all said and done. The thing I like about Brian Hodgson is Brian Hodgson could have gone anywhere. I mean, he was much coveted around the nation, but he wanted to come to South Florida, looking at what the foundation that Amir built, looking at the facilities, looking at the ability to recruit in this area. Let me tell you this, if you can get kids to go to Jonesboro, freaking Arkansas, you can get them to come to Tampa, Florida, because as soon as those kids put their toes in the sand, they don't want to leave. Mm-hmm. So he's put together a really nice roster, top to bottom, older guys all the way down to young freshmen, some international kids. Those kids out of Canada are dynamite. The day of the news conference, he told me in the green room, we were getting ready to walk out, and he goes, "Hey, just FYI, I literally just got it from CJ Brown that he's staying." So at that time, I mean, it came out basically during the news conference or right after the news conference was over. But I'm sitting there during that news conference going, these people have no idea that CJ Brown is now coming back. And Brian Hodgson told me, he said, that was my number one priority when I took this job, was to get him to stay. He's uber talented. I don't even know if he's going to start, because that's how much talent they brought in. But Jay, I'm pumped for basketball season. He's put together a really nice schedule. He's not going to shy away from playing anyone. They couldn't get anyone to play them, just like the way Ben Fletcher and Amir found themselves in year 2. No one wanted to come into Tampa to play them, so they were playing a lot of road games, a lot of neutral site games. Same thing again this year. For the record, they asked UCF to play home or away or neutral site, and UCF wanted no part of playing USF anymore in basketball. So
is that a known thing? Do people know that?
I don't know if that's a known thing, but I'm making it known right now, because I've heard that from multiple places inside the athletic department, that they offered to go there and play. They really wanted to play him in the Orange Bowl Classic, which the Bulls have played down there in Sunrise a few times. They've played Florida there. They've played Florida State there. And they said, hey, why aren't we playing? Why don't we both go to the Orange Bowl Classic? We'll get a great crowd, neutral site. UCF said, not interested. We're not interested.
Why do you think that is? I mean, like, we missed the war on I-4. Obviously, they're not playing in the same conference now. But, and listen, UCF, it worked out for them playing in the Big 12 now, mm-hmm. right? You don't fault them, like, doing the best, for their entire program, like, hell, for their entire athletic program. But why wouldn't they play USF? No benefit for them, I guess.
Well, I understand on the football side, there's only so many non-conference games you can have, and things get scheduled so far out in advance. I think it's a lose-lose for everyone, including the fans. But for basketball, you've got enough non-conference games. The trouble now with basketball that's happening is there's so many of the MTEs, there's so many of the one-offs that on neutral sites that a lot of these schools are signing up for. USF is in the Hall of Fame tip-off there against GW up at the Mohegan Sun. That's where a lot of these teams are going to instead of playing road games in the non-conference. They'll say, okay, we'll play you, but we'll play in a neutral site, which is why USF said, let's go ahead and do that. We understand the dynamic of the way non-conference scheduling is working now. I don't think for UCF, they want to lose to USF anymore in basketball. I'm what is it, 2 or 3 times in a row they've lost to USF in basketball. The last 2 times with Brian Gregory, and then in the NIT game. Yeah, so I think it's 3 in a row. They're probably tired of getting beat. That's just this guy's opinion. Then again, I wear green and gold, but maybe inside their athletic department they have other reasons for it. So maybe you can stitch all that together and come up with an answer.
Wow, you heard it right here. UCF scared of playing USF in men's basketball. How about that? Lastly, I want to ask you about Michael Kelly. I haven't talked to you since he left. Yeah. Just the lasting legacy, and you and I have both had great relationships with MK. And I know there were some frustrations here locally, and people saying, "Well, we're always going to be a stepping stone job." And I said, I don't know if you can really say that about this particular occurrence, because this is home for him, right? Yeah. He's going back to a place that he considers home. This is probably going to be his last job, right? You don't get fired as the AD of the Naval Academy, right? I can't even get upset. I'm more happy for a guy that, I've gotten friendly with over the years rather than upset that he's leaving. What's your take on MK leaving and his legacy with USF?
Yeah, I'm super happy for him, Jay. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in this business. His wife, his daughters, they're fantastic people. I never thought he would come back here again because of what he was doing and the connections he had made, but he's always loved this area. Of course, he worked here in the early 2000s. Then he came back to take the AD job. And again, a very, very tough situation he walked into. Football team was a mess, kind of. And when you look what he's done, everybody that knocks him, they can point at 2 things: Orlando Antigua and Jeff Scott. Okay. Right. I understand that, but you're not going to hit on every single hire.
Right.
And Jay, when you look at the number of hires this guy has made in the coaching ranks there at South Florida, I mean, he has knocked it out of the park with a lot of these hires. Mm-hmm. Alex Golesh, probably still to be determined. Amir was an absolute grand slam hire. I mean, the Amir hire 10 times over trumps the Antigua hire. And maybe Alex Golesh will do the same thing, and we'll quit talking about Jeff Scott. But you can't hit on every one. I mean, he's got 14 some odd coaches that he's got to hire, and he's hired almost one at every sport since he's been here. And if you get 12 out of 14, I'll take those odds all the time. But again, people look at the basketball and they're always going to look at the football. I'm super happy for him. He's gotten a stadium built, or he's got the process started, which, hey, I don't care what else you did. That's all we wanted for 29 freaking years is give me a football stadium. And this is what he's doing. I mean, that's going to be his lasting legacy, is that he got that done. Who's going to get the job? I don't know. I really like Jay Stroman a lot. Mm-hmm. I just worked an event on Friday with the Iron Bulls, emceed that banquet on Friday night, and Jay was up there, and he said, they've talked to him about it. And, I mean, he said this publicly, not privately. They've talked to him about it. He's like, he's really not interested in the job. I think he would be excellent at it. The guy is a dynamic personality. He knows the business. He loves USF. I think they're probably going to talk to him more about it. That's just my gut feeling, but I don't know if he'll end up getting it. And whoever gets it is really getting a vehicle that can go places. Jay, you know this. I mean, the money that's coming in, it was $187 million they've raised in the last year for the university, an all-time record, 60,000 donors. The endowment, the AAU, there's a lot of places that would love to have the stuff that's on South Florida's resume.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You mentioned about MK bringing in Coach McCord for the lacrosse team, how good they did in year one.
Eric Jenkins with the track team.
Right?
The track team has been one of these gigantic mysteries for so long. Now they're a national power, not an American power. They're a national power.
Right. Coach Mitch Hannes, I think, is a home run hire with
Yes.
baseball too. In his first year and he said, Jay, I don't even have my guys yet. And I go, I cannot wait till you get your guys in here. And listen, not all bad from Orlando Antigua. He and Coach Jose Fernandez, they did have the media game. Remember the media game?
Loved it, man. It was so much fun.
Listen, the first year they did it was great because it was just the media. The second year when they brought some of the old players on, and I only saw like 3 minutes of time. Didn't really like that as much, but I did love the draft. Guys, for those watching, they did like a media game, and on the big board, they actually did a full video of like the draft and who had introductions. Then they cut up the video when we watched it after the game with the highlights.
Yeah.
I hit a jumper. I think I was one from the floor, but
listen,
I also fouled. Yeah, I did okay.
If it was today's day and age, you'd put your name in the portal because you're not getting the playing time you want. I don't blame you. That's
right, man. I'm going to UT, man, for some more playing time, or UCF, but they might be scared to hire me.
Yeah, big fish, small pond. Yeah,
that's right. The one and only Jim Lighthall, one of the voices of USF Athletics. Jim, always great to catch up with you, my friend. I will see you tomorrow at Raymond James Stadium, buddy. Cannot wait. Thank you so much. Talk soon, buddy.
Can't wait. Always a pleasure, Jay. Thank you.
All right, pal.